A very good evening, everybody. Excellent. Welcome to week 8, full choir rehearsal. Goodness me, how time flies, everybody. It really does seem like just yesterday that we were starting this magnificent work. Tonight, we will be listening to the last 4 movements in Elijah and starting to talk about, well, next week, which is when we get to sing it all the way through. Lovely to see you. Well, you may notice a couple of changes here in the studio. It's the same room. It's the same backdrop, it's the same conductor, but it's in a different configuration. I'm on a different side of the room. I have a window again. Those of you that remember Messiah, the window was on that side. So I've been through several iterations in this room. It is Studio 4.0. So I'm very happy in this space. I have a window. I have everything I need around here. Or you may notice, hopefully, an improvement in the picture quality. I was doing a stream yesterday and one of my lovely choristers said, you need to invest in a bit of makeup now. We can see all the creases. Thanks very much indeed. Well, as I said, we can't really improve on perfection, can you? It's all right. I've got a special order of polyfiller arriving from Amazon. I think I'll just apply it with a trowel. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's lovely to see you. It's still plenty of time before we're getting started. It's not even 10:02 yet, so I'm going to be doing my sound checks. And so just bear in mind, this is a new setup. So all the levels, I have set them and I have tested them, but there may be gremlins in the system. So just make sure you haven't turned your volumes all the way up. As I now do the sound checks. But lovely to see everybody looking good, says Brenda. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Brenda. Excellent. Can't believe we'll be ready in 12 days, says Jennifer. Well, ready is a strong word, Jennifer. We'll talk about that as we go. But anyway, sound checks quickly. I got a bit of E minor to get started. And we'll have a bit of recording. Let's have a bit of Fieri first of all. Huge thanks to George and Diane for this boosted recording. Wonderful. Let's have a bit of Then Did Elijah. This is going to be loud. Be careful, everybody. Excellent. So how is everybody? Don't worry, Ben, we love you just as you are. Thank you, Brenda. And I love all of you just the way you are. Isn't that a song? I love you just the way you are. Evening. Oh, sorry. Carol's working. So we've got 10 minutes, all right? We don't want to give the game away. Hi, Carol. Lovely to see you. Hello, Mark. So Mark Cease is still in the booth. I was wrong, folks. Mark's drawn. He's not back till tomorrow. All right, do you know what? I have spoken to him today. Wasn't supposed to, but we had a little chat about Elijah, oddly enough. And I haven't seen his face, but I can hear. You know when someone's been on holiday and you speak to them on the phone, you can just hear the tan. You can just hear the relaxation. He's like, yeah, glad you had a really nice time. No, honestly, Mark has worked so hard for all of us this year. He deserved a break. It sounds like he's had a really, really lovely time. And I know he can't wait to be back tomorrow. It was genuinely a delight to talk to him today. It really was. We haven't spoken in over a week, which is the longest we've been without talking since we met in March. So it's very, very quiet. Very quiet week. Anyway. So Anne says, hello from lockdown Pembrokeshire. So everybody in Wales, those of you in lockdown, lots of extra special love to all of you. And just, well, we've all been there. We all know what you're going through. I'm not sure how long it'll be before England follows suit. But just lots of love to all of you. Keep singing. And I think this is the place to be. So lovely to see you and do take care, Anne. Who else is here? Hello, Ruth. Ruth is having to self-isolate, so back working from home, yay. Well, there we are. I mean, that's very much a silver lining from the cloud, isn't it, Ruth? Oh no, I've got to self-isolate. It's a shame because I'm a member of the self-isolation choir. Cheers. Cara says, well, just logged on to be told you lovers. Have I been at the beer again? When was I last on the beer, Cara? No, it was a response to a comment that Brenda very kindly made. I was talking about the HD upgrade here. So I'm now using a high definition camera, which is showing all of the crinkles and all of the lines. As I said, as I get older, I'm becoming more and more like a well-worn handbag. You know what I mean? So Brenda said, we love you just the way you are. So I was responding to Brenda. Grace said, why did I call Mark? Was it urgent? Well, I needed... That's a very good question, Grace. And I would never have called Mark. But he did it first, okay? He emailed me and I said, can I quickly talk to you about Elijah? Because I wanted to share the details for next week with you. So I ran those through with him. 5 minutes and I let him get back to the last day of his holiday. So I feel fairly virtuous. All right, it was in a good cause. Anyway, Cara says she needs a fiery horse to get out of lockdown Madrid. I don't think the authorities would look very kindly on you riding out of Madrid in a fiery horse, but it would probably make the news, Cara. So you've got a choice. Oh dear. Hello, Ginny in Cardiff. You're very welcome. Just lots of love to you. I've got lots and lots of friends. I've got my choir, the Larks, who are in Chepstow. Well, half of them are in Chepstow and half of them are in Sedbury, which is just over the border. And so half of the choir can go out and about and the rest are all in lockdown. Brenda said, what do you know about handbags? Well, only that it's difficult finding shoes to match. Jane says, can we get SIC mugs now? I believe you can get those if you go to the Facebook group and you can get a link for those. I've seen the links to them. Haven't had a chance to order mine yet, but I will get to it, I promise. And yes, the mugs are available and they look fantastic and they're not very expensive, I have to say. Very reasonable when you consider what you can pay these days for a piece of merch. The SIC merchandise is very, very nice. It's got Mark Strawn's quote on it. So we can all have Mark Strawn Founder written on us and T-shirts and mugs and so on. So I shall be getting mine soon. But yes, have a look on Facebook for those. Hello, Marion. Hello, Marion at the bus stop in Bath, waiting to get back home to Cheltenham. I've stood at bus stops in Bath many, many times over the years, sending an extra special hello to you, Marion. I know what it's like to be stuck in Bath waiting to get home. Well, at least you've got us here and we'll be here with you all the way home. All right? Fabulous. So Karen says, good afternoon. After Marla, I've had a relaxing week with no recording, just enjoying Elijah. Absolutely. You have to have a break from it from time to time. There's such a lot going on. We've got all these projects. We are asking a lot of you. So, yes, in between, do rest your voices and do enjoy this amazing work. I have to say, folks, I know I say this every time. I'm very guilty of this, but this week's music is just incredible. It really is. Mendelssohn is such an underrated composer. And I say that as the man who suggested we do this for this project. Every time I encounter one of Mendelssohn's works, whether it's, last year I was lucky enough to conduct Midsummer Night's Dream with my orchestra, obviously Elijah, many of his church works. Every time I encounter it, I'm always delighted at all the little touches, all the little details. He is immensely clever. His composition has such integrity. All of the notes move as they should, and that really is the mark of a great composer. I think Bernstein said that. A great composer knows that when you play a note, and you then know the note that must follow, not the note that could follow, but the note that must follow, and therefore the note that must follow that. Mendelssohn understands that, but he also has this showboating tendency that I love. That's very theatrical. And he only wrote the one opera, I believe, only one opera, and it wasn't a huge success. And I wonder if he'd lived. He was only 34 when he died. If he'd lived another 10 years, if he'd gone into opera, what would opera have sounded like? I wonder if the dominance of the Italians in the 19th century with opera, and obviously Puccini and Verdi and Rossini, I wonder if Germany would have had a star like that in the form of Mendelssohn, pre-Wagner. Interesting, very interesting. Anyway, sorry for going off on a nerdy tangent. How is everybody doing? Lots of people are very, very grateful to Angie for her wonderful warm-ups, as am I. Brilliant job, Angie. I know I've said it before. Bear's saying again, fabulous job. Really lovely. And hello to Sarah from Caldecott near Chepstow. Yeah, lots of lovely people in lockdown, sending lots of love to you. Alan says, I do not use Facebook. How can we access the merch? What I'll ask Mark Cease to do, hello Mark, can you make a note, and we'll talk to Mark Strawn when he's back from holiday tomorrow, and we'll see if we can get a link sent out to people to the merchandise. All right, so if you're not on Facebook, I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook because I'm not allowed to be on Facebook. Okay, this is absolutely true. Okay, I've been told I'm not allowed on Facebook because then I'd see what people are writing about me. Cheers. It's in no way paranoia inducing. We're all talking about you over here and you're not allowed to find out what we're saying. Okay, yeah, that's fine. If there's a friend request to whoever runs the group, if there's a friend request from somebody who looks suspiciously like me with the big sort of Groucho Marx glasses and the big nose and the fake moustache over the obvious beard, it's not me, okay? Honest. Anyway, everybody, we'll be starting in just a few moments. It is absolutely lovely to see you all here. This has been the most fantastic project, working on this fabulous work and week by week adding these pieces, and now we can see the end. You know, we're on that final stretch down towards. I always think of it in terms of the London Marathon. You know, we can see Buckingham Palace. We've got the last stretch. A rehearsal and a bit, and then we've I don't want to say learnt Elijah. That's a strong word. We've certainly sung it, and many of us will be feeling increasingly confident. And I want to talk to you about that. I want to talk to you about next week and how we can build confidence before our performance. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you one more time for your lovely, lovely comments. Chris has just said, Ben, Facebook is too busy. You wouldn't have time conducting. You are absolutely right, Chris. It's entirely sensible for me not to be on Facebook, and so I won't be on Facebook. But thank you ever so much for your lovely comments, everybody. I really do appreciate them, and do take care. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bid your comments farewell and adieu. Thank you very much indeed, and wish you all a very, very good evening. Welcome to the week 8 full choir rehearsal for Mendelssohn's Elijah. I keep having to think, what week are we? It is week 8. It is almost the last week. We have 4 movements remaining in Elijah, and the plan is this week we will learn 3 of those 4 movements, and then that will leave just 1 week for our last movement, I should say, for our last week. Now, just a couple of very quick notices before I tell you about next week and we start looking at the music for tonight. First of all, our dear Mark Strawn, as I've already said, is not back yet. He's back tomorrow. All right, so we have the wonderful Mark Cease in the booth. Say hi, Mark. And he will be wielding the troll hammer for us and making sure that we aren't bothered by any teenagers who want to show us that they know some fun swear words. Dear Mark is back tomorrow. I have very, very briefly, rather naughtily, spoken to him today because I wanted to talk to him about next week. And so I have had a chat with him, and what I want to now share with you is our plans for next week in terms of Elijah. So Mark is going to send all this out by email. I want to say that first of all, there will be a blast from Mark tomorrow by email, and all this information will be on it. So please don't scrabble around for pens and paper and try to write all this down. You will get all this by email. But it occurred to me that next week we only have 1 movement to learn in our sectional rehearsals, and then obviously we're singing through Elijah on the Saturday. So what I thought we'd do is we would change the rehearsal structure for next week, and this is what we're going to be doing next week. So on Monday next week, we won't have a full choir rehearsal, please, folks. All right, Monday, 5 p.m. This time next week, I'd like to see the tenors, please, at 5 o'clock, and we will just learn that last movement, and then shall your light break forth. All right, it should take us about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I've left half an hour, so we have time to sing it through. Bass is then at 5:30. Okay, so sopranos, altos, you won't be required for a rehearsal for Elijah next Monday. Of course, Lift Thine Eyes, our wonderful concert, which is going to be running during November, our greatest hits, if you like, that's launching on Monday at 7. All right, so please come along to that. If you haven't signed up for that, do consider signing up. You still have time to join. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful concert and a great way to support your choir. So Monday, no full choir rehearsal, as you can see here. get the right side. Tenors at 5, basses at 5:30. Tuesday it'll be the same. It'll be just sectional rehearsals. Sopranos at 5, altos at 5:30. It'll just be that last movement. Okay. Then Wednesday and Thursday, I'm going to ask everybody if they wouldn't mind coming along at 5 p.m. Now, obviously, if you've got things on, if it doesn't fit with your schedule, completely understand. But what we're going to do on those 2 nights, Wednesday and Thursday, is we're going to sing through all the choruses in part 1 on Wednesday and part 2 on Thursday in order. Okay, and for some of us, it will have been a while since we've sung things like Help Lord and so on, and Lord Bow Thine Ear to My Prayer and so on. So it'll be a chance to revisit those in context, okay? And then, of course, we're going to be performing on Saturday, I almost said Friday, and because we're performing on Saturday, folks, I'm not going to ask you to come and sing Elijah on Friday evening, okay? There will be a Lift Thine Eyes rehearsal. That's a separate project. That'll be 7 p.m. But there will be no 5 p.m. Friday rehearsal next week, okay? Because Saturday we are singing the full thing. And there will be details to follow about that in terms of timing and warm-ups and so on. All right, so that's the outline for next week. If you have any specific questions, can I ask you to wait until Mark has emailed you? Okay, that blast will come out tomorrow with all of this information. Get the side right again. With all of this information, and we'll fill you in then about what's going to happen on November the 7th. All right, so thank you so much, everybody. That is the plan for next week. Now, in terms of this week, rehearsals are as normal. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of this and go full screen. So bear with me. There we are. Back to normal. This week, everybody, rehearsals are as normal. So everybody tonight, sopranos tomorrow, altos, tenors, basses. And we will be looking at, as I say, 3 movements. The incredible Then Did Elijah the Prophet. And then we'll have a look at 2 more that follow. But the Lord hath raised one. And O come everyone that thirsteth. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful music. So, everybody, what I'd like to do tonight, in order to kind of get that context in our minds and prepare ourselves to have a look at these lovely movements, is we will sing through part 2 from the beginning. Okay, so we're going to start in a minute with Be Not Afraid. I say sing through, not the solos, just the choruses. We're going to look at Be Not Afraid, the Lord hath exalted him, woe to him, he watching over Israel, lift thine eyes. We're going to sing through. Okay, and then we'll get to the bits we looked at last week, and Holy, Holy, Holy was absolutely wonderful, and everything we looked at last week. And then at the end of tonight's rehearsal, I will introduce the remaining 4 movements. So lots of singing to do tonight, everybody. If I could invite you, those that are happy to be upstanding, we'll get warmed up, and then we're going to sing through Be Not Afraid, and sing all the way through part 2. And finish with these 4 movements that we'll be looking at over the next 2 weeks. So, lots of fun to be had. Those of you that are standing, can you plant your feet a shoulder's width apart? If you're not able to stand tonight, for whatever reason, it's absolutely fine. Some of you are still at work. Some of you are on the bus. So that's absolutely fine. But if I can invite you to stand up nice and tall, and get that back nice and straight, get the neck nice and long, please, everybody. Take a nice deep breath. Oops. Ooh. Take a nice deep breath, please, everybody. And sigh. Fabulous. And again, nice deep breath. And sigh. And blow that air away from you. One more time, deep breath. And blow the air away. Fantastic. Well done, everybody. Roll your shoulders around for me. That's great. And roll them the other way. Thank you. And bring your shoulders up to your ears. Take a deep breath and let your shoulders fall. Great stuff. Well done, everybody. Tilt your head in one direction and the other, and to the middle and forwards. Thank you. And to the middle. And then within those 3 movements, folks, just left, right and forwards, let your head gently roll around. Of course, if you want to do more stretches and really sort of focus on the physical aspect of it, do please look at Angie's wonderful warm-ups, which are available through the website. Okay, so everybody, let's do a bit of gentle humming. And we'll start on C here, and we'll just hum a nice long note. So hum with me, deep breath, and... Now Now for November, and now ooh, and and an O with a nice tall mouth, and O. Splendid. And now an E for egg, and and after me please, and ma ma ma, and great, yeah yeah yeah, thank you, me me me. Excellent. Basses and altos drop down the octave as we sing caw caw caw, and ya ya ya. Thank you very, very much indeed, everybody. Great stuff. Now, can I ask you to please make sure that you have a drink of water handy? We will be starting, please, at the beginning of, well, almost at the beginning of the second half of Elijah. We're going to sing Be Not Afraid. So I'm just going back in my score here. I've already seen somebody has very kindly put the page number for Novello in the description. But we are on page 113 of our score, and we're going to sing through, as I've already said, all the choruses in part 2, and we'll end up with these choruses we haven't looked at yet. Okay, so I'm going to have a sip of drink. I invite you to do the same. Now, this is a loud one to start with, so please don't belt this one out, particularly if you haven't had a chance to have a good warm-up. Use this as a way of warming your voice up. Tenors, there's top A's, sopranos, there's top G's, and so on. So just go easy on yourselves. Be not afraid, and be not too loud either at this point. This is just rehearsal. All right, so here are your notes, everybody. Sopranos, altos, tenors, and basses. Be not afraid. And let's have some fun, everybody. Okay, here we go. After 2. 1, 2. Okay, altos, and ready, sopranos, and basses, tenors, and Many congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to have a sip of drink, and I advise you to do the same. Well done. My goodness, we're definitely off to a good start this evening. Okay, fabulous. So the next movement is The Lord hath exalted thee. And I just want to say before we move on, there will be people in the comments I could already see saying, I'm going to need to work really hard at that one. And of course, depending on how much time you've had to practice all these movements, some movements will be more firmly entrenched in your head than others. Of course, all the rehearsals are here for you to use whenever you like. And when we sing this performance on November the 7th, some of us might be 100% there, some might be 95, some might be only 70%. It's entirely fine for you to come along and enjoy the performance. And that's one of the great things about an online choir, right? Even if you've only just joined this week and you still have a place at the concert, you can still enjoy and sing along with as much of it as you're happy to. And similarly with the recording, all right? It's your choir to use as you wish. So, The Lord hath exalted thee is our next movement. And if you'll recall this one, well, there's quite a lot of recitative, this sung speech. And so here the Queen shows herself for the first time in the work, and Elijah has done quite a lot in the first half. The Queen isn't desperately happy about it, and this is where she rouses up the rabble. So we're going to run these next two movements into each other. So The Lord hath exalted thee, with all our little interjections where we hear it with our ears, everybody, and then going straight into woe to him. Okay, so be ready for that. If you remember, woe to him is a big one. So let's see how much we remember from this one. Here is The Lord hath exalted thee. And
the Lord hath exalted thee from among the people, and o'er his people Israel hath made thee king. But Ahab hast done evil to provoke him to anger above all that were before thee, as if it had been a light thing for thee to walk in the scenes of Jeroboam. Thou hast made a grove and an altar to Baal, and served him and worshipped him.
Top of 1, 2, 3
Thou hast
now.
killed the righteous, and also taken possession. And the Lord shall smite all Israel, as a reed is shaken in the water, and he shall give Israel up, and thou shalt know.
Now this is the point where if we were all in the same room, I would ask you to stand. Okay, the choir would stand like this in the concert. You don't have to stand there, not unless you want to. Okay, here comes the Queen. Are we ready, basses? Ready? Deep breath. And sopranos. And again basses. And sopranos. Okay, the top of 1, 2, 5 here, and more. Okay, we're about to sing He Shall Perish. Deep breath. 1, 2. He shall perish, he shall perish. Destroy Ready for this? Ready, basses? Fantastic. Well done, everybody. How did we get on there? Okay, it's been a few weeks since we learned that one. It hasn't lost any of its power though, has it? My goodness me. Heart pounding, just full of adrenaline. Wonderful stuff. Well done, everybody. Now, please do rehydrate yourselves. We're doing very, very nicely. So the angry mob has been sent by Queen Jezebel to go and kill Elijah. I mean, they're easily led, these folks. And we know what then happens. Elijah, he's at his very, very worst, isn't he? He is not his worst. He's at his lowest. He's brought so low by the betrayal of the people who he thought he'd saved, and he sings "It Is Enough." And we heard Dietrich Fischer-Dieskau singing that a couple of weeks ago. Of course, we will be hearing Ashley Riches with our amazing cellist as well, performing this in only just under 2 weeks. I can't wait to hear it. We're going to skip through this so we don't get a problem with YouTube, and we're going to sing Lift Thine Eyes, everybody. So can we please turn to page 138, and this is the sweetening of the second half. Up until this point, after everything from Be Not Afraid, it becomes quite angsty, doesn't it? It's quite tense, lots and lots of stress and lots of mourning, and then Lift Thine Eyes is the turning point where things turn towards the light. And so, with our wonderful Fieri consort soloists, could I ask the sopranos and altos and any tenors and basses who fancy singing along to sing Lift Thine Eyes? So here are your notes, everybody. There's the soprano. That's first treble, second, and alto. All right, so let's sing along with the Fieri consort. Here we go. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, sopranos and altos, for singing that one for us. It is amazing when we first set out in September, even when Mark and I were discussing Elijah last year. It's amazing the power of the music to speak to us at different times in our lives, and that piece has helped me over many, many years. I don't know if it's ever been quite as important and quite so meaningful as it is at the moment. So thank you so much, sops and altos. Let's sing the next movement all together. He watching over Israel. Again, just sheer joy, sheer warmth. This is the comforting warm blanket when you're cold. This is the mug of a hot drink to bring you peace. So let's sing He Watching Over Israel, everybody. This is number 29, and it starts in our score on page 140. Ready, sopranos? Here we go. And altos, bass and tenors. Okay, now tenors and altos and sopranos, basses, tenors. Sure it's that. Thank you, everybody. Very, very well done. Isn't that just so beautiful? Please remember when you sing those, sleeps not. Can we have the two separate words? Thank you. Rather than running one into the other. Now, look, please do rehydrate yourselves, dear friends. I'm going to have a sip. Okay, so he that shall endure to the end will bring us to the point where we will start singing through stuff that we looked at last week. So can we sing He That Shall Endure to the End, which you will find on page 150 in our free score, number 32, this lovely chorale type, almost hymn. So let's sing this one. So here's your notes: sopranos, altos, tenors, and basses. He that shall endure to the end. Here we go. 3, 4. Altos. Basses. Top of 151. Tenors. Thank you so much, everybody. That is such a beautiful movement, and that's a slower version than we've been rehearsing at. That's going to be closer to our performance tempo with the Fieri, so we can really enjoy those lovely, lovely lines and get thoroughly carried away by it. Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. Now, speaking of getting carried away, let's sing Behold God the Lord. If you turn, please, to number 34 on page 153. This was one of the pieces that we learnt last week, and my goodness me, what an exciting experience that was. So have a drink if you haven't hydrated yourselves recently. Excuse me. Are you ready, altos and sopranos? Okay, because you lead off, don't you? And we've got to sing about the mighty wind and the earthquake and the fire. Remember all of this huge, this big dramatic moment, the big Hollywood moment, and then of course the still small voice where God's voice is heard. So let's sing this one together. Behold, God the Lord passed by. Here we go. I'm going to do my best not to hit the microphone and get carried away. Here we go. Oh, and by the way, before we do this one, if you've turned the volume up because you were listening to the quiet movements, can I suggest turn it down because this one's loud. Here we go. Thank you so much, everybody. Oh my goodness, that was such a highlight of last week. I really, really enjoyed teaching that one to you, and the reaction I had over email after it was absolutely brilliant. Well, we're doing really very, very nicely, folks. I hope you're saving a bit of voice, because there is still more to come. The next movement is Holy, 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 which is just over the page, and we'll be singing along with the recording we've been practicing with. So this one starts partway through that first bar of the alto. It starts at Seraphim and one cried to another, and then we'll sing all the way through Holy, Holy. Now, it's entirely up to you, sopranos, altos, which line you take. You can take the first treble part, you can take the second treble part, you could sing the chorus part. It is down to you, okay? I want everyone to be happy. Basses, tenors, if you want to sing one of the alto solos, then feel free. All right, but there's a lot going on in this movement, and I would suggest those of you that are looking for something to practice when it comes to this, this is a movement that's often overlooked, and as a result, I think underrepresented and certainly underperformed. It's quite often cut by, I think, conductors who don't fully understand the importance of it. So let's, as I say, when you're practicing, don't forget this one. Let's sing it all the way through. Here is Holy, Holy, Holy. So here's your chord just before we come in. Where is it? Oh, sorry, let's try that again. Okay, there's the note, and everybody. Everybody, and top of 1, 6, 6. Sopranos, now. Altos, now His glory. Tenors, basses, and everybody. Top of 1, 6, 8, here. Okay, straight into go, return upon their way, and return upon thy way, for the Lord yet hath left him 7,000 in Israel, knees which have not bowed to Baal. And trebles and altos, and then we will pause there. Splendid. Okay, Thank you so much, everybody. Now, I do appreciate that last couple of recordings were a bit on the quiet side, and that's to do with the licensing and so on for our recordings. Of course, when we sing this through a week Saturday, we will be singing with the wonderful Fieri consort, with the organ that Richard's laid down for us, and with Ashley as our soloist. And when we ask you to record Elijah for us, which we'll be starting to do, we'll be opening submissions in a few weeks' time. You'll be singing along with the Fieri consort. We'll have all the usual tracks with an isolated soprano track or everybody but the sopranos, for example. And so, I don't know if anyone's ever attempted anything quite like this with Elijah, but we have, and it's sounding absolutely amazing. So if you can't hear our current recordings, apologies for that, but by the time we sing it through, we're going to have some of the best recordings of this piece, I think, ever laid down. So we have arrived at the point that we finished last week, and so with the last quarter of tonight's rehearsal, folks, I'd love to present the remaining movements in Elijah for you. So then did Elijah. This is this incredible movement which I teased last week. This is the moment where Elijah is taken up to heaven, and this is after the rest of his story plays out. It's a bit of a sort of a montage of his greatest hits after everything we've sung about already. So much drama. This is where the fiery chariots and fiery horses start galloping, and this is, I know I say it every week, but this is my favourite. So if you've not sung this one before, follow it along. This is number 38, starting on page 172. This is going to be loud, okay? We're going back to the earlier recording. So just please watch out if you've turned your volumes up. Maybe sneak them back down again. Here is Then Did Elijah the Prophet. Comes the organ. For those of you who sang in the Vivaldi Gloria this year, there's a lot of talk of galloping in the Domine Filii Unigenite, that seventh movement, but it's all been a warm-up to the actual galloping. I mean, there's Mendelssohn writing film music. You could hear the galloping with the fiery horse. Absolutely remarkable. I cannot wait, ladies and gentlemen, to teach you that one. It's so much fun. But that's not all, because what follows is a beautiful, beautiful tenor aria. I can't play it to you tonight. We don't have time. Please, please. If in all seriousness, when you're having a dark day, and we all have them, and those of us who are in isolation, in lockdown and so on, listen to this movement. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in their heavenly Father's realm. I've listened to this movement hundreds of times over the years. It brings me huge comfort. It is absolutely beautiful. And I commend it to you all. Okay, now, skipping ahead, having said that, let's have a look at number 41. Okay, and this is another big movement. This is where Mendelssohn is starting to bring to bear all of his knowledge and all of his experience in working with music. And I've said many times, we take for granted that we as a society, as a culture, we understand a bit about music history. We know that, you know, Bach goes here in the timeline and Beethoven here and Mozart here. And if we want to, we can go to YouTube and we can just listen to any piece of music that's ever been written. I mean, it's an amazing time to be alive. When Mendelssohn was writing music, when Mendelssohn was putting on concerts, the vast majority of people had never even heard of Bach, had never even heard of Vivaldi, or, you know, they might have heard a couple of bits, but they couldn't say where that was from or how music had developed. So Mendelssohn brought all that knowledge to the public and presented anthology concerts, as I've already said, you know, with a bit of Bach followed by a bit of Handel and so on. This movement in Elijah, this is Mendelssohn showing that he understands what makes choral music popular in the UK, because he wrote it for a British choir. He understands that the British love Handel. And so this, when you listen to this, call to mind, those of you that sang Handel's Messiah with me, or if you've ever sung it before, call to mind those last movements of Messiah, okay? It's in the same key. It's in D major, which is that bright key. And there is the most astonishing build-up. Okay, and I'll point it out to you. It's as it starts on page 184, when the choir comes in, there is what's called an enormous pedal point, and it lasts for it's 10 bars with the bass note being on an A, and then it descends down to a D. And you will notice when that happens, because it'll be like, you know, all of the fireworks going off at once. It's an incredible sing. So let's have a listen to this one. If you know it, sing along. If not, follow it along. And just wow. I can't wait to sing this one with you and to teach it to you this week. So here is But the Lord, number 41. It's quite Wagnerian to start with. Tenors, and this is all on the same note, this A in the bass. Basses, top of 187 here. Second line of 187, shall rest. pause here. So, do you see what I mean, folks? Very Handelian. Obviously, it's not Baroque, but so many, those dotted rhythms, lots and lots and lots of D major, and very, very reminiscent of the end of Messiah. You know, he certainly knows his audience. And again, I love the male voice textures that he creates. And there's Mendelssohn sort of looking ahead to what was going to obsess large parts of the Romantic era, which is close harmony. So now, over the page, he's shown us that he understands Handel and Bach, and O Come Everyone That Thirsteth. This will be the last piece we look at this week. We won't stop here, by the way. We are going to listen to the last movement of Elijah. I wouldn't do that to you, but this will be the third and final piece we learn this week. And this is a quartet, and this is an option. If you don't want to sing this one in the main performance, you don't have to, because it's a quartet of soloists, but I want everyone to learn this. He's already shown us he understands Haydn. Here, this is Mendelssohn showing that he understands Mozart and Haydn. Here we go. And the alto, bass, and the tenor, soprano, bass, alto, tenor, bass, sop, and that, ladies and gentlemen, will be where we leave rehearsals this week. You see what I mean? Just so beautiful. It sounded like it could be plucked from one of Mozart's masses, one of his later operas. Just takes you to a place of sheer peace and sheer wonder and delight. And then there's one more movement, which I'm going to play for you now, because this is the last time we're going to be together on a Monday, full choir rehearsal. Remember, next week, tenors and basses, 5 and 5:30. sopranos and altos then on Tuesday 5 and 5:30, and then the next time we'll be together singing this wonderful music will be Wednesday next week. Of course, that's nothing to do with Lift Thine Eyes, which is our wonderful concert, which I really hope you'll all sign up and take part in. It's going to be very, very special. Let's just finish with And Then Shall Your Light, because this is how Mendelssohn ends Elijah. And if you thought he'd got all his earworms out of the way, well, the fugue here, I'll just leave it for Mendelssohn to finish. So here's And Then Shall Your Light, and it's a big one. Watch out for the volume. Here we go. Comes the fugue and soprano, basses, tenors, top of 196, top of 199. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is what waits for us next week. This week we have enough to be getting on with, but next week we should be learning that wonderful movement, and then we will have learned every single chorus note and quartet note in Elijah, and that's going to be a big, big day. So well done, everybody. Sorry we've gone a couple of minutes over, but I'm sure you'll agree it was worth it for all this wonderful music. So I will see sopranos tomorrow, altos on Wednesday, tenors and basses on Thursday and Friday. Please, folks, come along and make yourselves welcome. It doesn't matter whether it's your voice part on that day or not. We'd love to see you. We'd love to hear from you. Mark C, thank you so much for all of your fantastic help and support in the booth. You are an absolute star, and just thank you ever so much from all of us to you. We look forward to welcoming back our very, very dear Mark Strawn. I hope he's brought souvenirs for everybody. All right, Rock, I think, the founder of my choir went to Cornwall, and all I got was this T-shirt, etc. We'll find out tomorrow, won't we, everybody? So I'll see you tomorrow, Sopranos, and the rest of you later on in this week. Whatever you've got left in the day and in the week, ladies and gentlemen, I hope it goes really well, and do take care. See you soon, folks. Bye-bye.